Aye, everyone. Neil Razor Ruddock. Keep supporting Andy and Jace on the West Ham Reunited channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to the West Ham Reunited channel. Keep supporting Andy and Jace. Aye, we are massive. How many you irons? Subscribe. West Ham Reunited channel. Aye.
And we're live. Chaz, we're back again with the Reunited 5's. And we've had some good guests, and now we've got another one. It's the one, the only. It's Mr. djrussyb. How are you, sir?
Very cold. That's why we need some double glazing. That's why Glazewise is the solution for you.
See, there we go. Yeah,
See?
Windows, doors, and conservatories. If you need anything done in the London, Essex, and Kent area, Johnny's your man. And if you mention West Ham Reunited, Russ, you actually do get a discount. So you might have to hit John. You might have to hit John up.
Yeah, we'll have to hit John. Hit John up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say up. Yeah, we'll just hit
John. And talking of another John, we always like to give a plug for Iron supporting food banks. If you can make any donations, or John's there every home game, and if you're not going to the game, you can make a donation on the website. I know Russ is a huge part of it as well. So yeah, it's just getting the word out.
Definitely, particularly after Christmas, because obviously Christmas is a time where families and all that stuff, and little kiddies and the boys, the Iron supporting food banks do a lot with the community in terms of selection boxes and stuff like that for the kids. So not just the beans and your tuna and your pastas and stuff like that, but little selection box for the kids. So at least they've got something nice to eat. A little bit of chocolate for Christmas.
Yeah, no, definitely. So Russ, obviously, we had a bit of a shock on Saturday. It wasn't the result we expected, but it's still good to be a West Ham fan, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I've dealt with it now. I've dealt with it Saturday. I think it was. I'm a glass half full type guy, as you know, Andy, and I think actually it's good to get that one out of our system before we get into December, because we've got a lot of games in December, and also I think it's not a bad thing to show, the new investor, we could really do some money in January just to make this squad. It's like, if we had Jesse Lingard or we had Mohamed Bayer or someone like that, we could throw him on and we'd have probably won that game. But yeah, it was one of those games where we've had a lot worse. Christ, we've had a lot worse over the years. Bad day at the office.
We've got a message from Simon. Can we track Cathal, Pete on pole, and James from the Anvil?
Yeah, I don't know where Pete on pole's gone actually, and Cahill. Yeah, I don't know where Cahill or Cathal or where he's. I don't know where they've gone actually. Yeah,
Cathal. He was a regular at the start when we started the channel, and I think it's just he's gone back to uni full time. So I think he's literally. I think it's
James
just.
For the Anvil, he's still on Twitter quite active, and Pete's on pole still quite active on Twitter.
Oh look, here we go. I'm here. See? What's all the fuss about? It's because he knew you were coming on, Russ.
That's why the big guys are on. Yeah. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you what though. I know you mentioned the cold though. It has flipping dropped in it since yesterday. It's mad how it's just fucking.
I don't usually feel the cold, but I am freezing at the moment. I am freezing. And we're off to Lapland in December, and look, today it's -13 there at the moment. So it's like,
yeah.
No flip-flops for me.
Obviously, I was on my way home from the game. Did you have a power cut as well on Saturday?
No, we didn't. But apparently, the power cut was caused by someone alluded to the fact that it was Hornchurch Christmas lights were put up, and there was a power cut. But what surprised me was how there hasn't had a power cut since, because obviously the Budden Christmas lights came on yesterday, and the national.
I haven't drove past it yet. Normally I drive past it every day. I've not been to the Budden office.
You could just put your head outside the window and just see it flash from where you are. You just know where we are.
Mitchell had a power cut.
That's why I said, Jazz. Like literally, Mitchell had it. My mum, dad. That's what I wondered. But Russ must be on a different circuit, or he obviously pays more in the meter.
We're on top of the hill.
Yeah. Right. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the comments quickly before we go. No, I'm still here. Been working a lot because of there we go. Snowing in Canada, -20. Oh, that's nothing, is it? Nothing, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah.
Mental.
Right. So, Russ, reason why we're here is obviously the Reunited 5. This is our first series. We decided to do the kits one first. Was this easy for you?
It was, because it was easy, because I'd obviously watched a few of them, and I thought, you know what, you know me, I like to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, of course.
And I was thinking about the other day, and then I randomly was chatting to Canning Town Len, and he made me aware of something which I hadn't realised, in the fact that I've been working at the club since almost the turn of the century, like for the last, so
Right,
from the 2000s.
yeah.
So I could have gone easy. I could have gone 92, 93 kit. I could have gone DeCanio kit. I could have gone, this is, So I thought, you know what? I'm going to look not nostalgically, but look back and think of like certain kits and certain seasons which were memorable for me, mainly not necessarily on the pitch, maybe, but for a reason which might become clear throughout. So it's more like, Desert Island Discs type thing, rather than just, I like that kit because it had nice blue.
This is your life. This is your life of working for West Ham for DJ Russy B.
Exactly.
So we'll get this party started, as Peter Wright says, the darts player. Let's have a look. Kit number 1, Russ. So let's get this banner.
So so this isn't like my favourite in sort of order. It's more chronological order. So I started working at the club from the 2001-2002 season. So when they sort of opened the Rio stand, as it was affectionately known, I think it was 01-02. But this kit means a lot to me, because obviously I'd been going to the games as a season ticket holder since. Well, I mean, my first season was 1993, so 10 years basically, and so this was sort of my further relationship with the club increasing, if that made sense. So I was like now part and parcel of working in the club, rather than necessarily just turning up to the games. And this kit meant a lot to me for that exact reason. It was, and again, this was one of the last few times I think we actually had a kit for 2 years as well. And then when I think it was 05-07 was the last time we had 2 season kit, and then it went to the 1 season wonders. So this kit means a hell of a lot to me from a West Ham working perspective. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, this was Glenn Roeder as well. Obviously, God rest his soul. I could have picked a few pictures, but I've sort of been a bit on my way, and the ones what sort of sprung to mind for my memories. Obviously, there you can see Schemmel, DeCanio, and Defoe. Was there any players in that era? Obviously, we know Tricky Trev and stuff like that. But is there any other players who you enjoyed around
that whole era was like my sort of my youth, really, so to speak. So my teenage years. So it's when I probably had the most affection to the club at the same time. So I mean, even like Scott Minto. I mean, we had Scott on the channel. I love Scott. He's a lovely guy. Obviously, we've had Seb, who I think he's a beautiful man. And obviously,
I've got to admit, Russ, he's probably up there in my top 5. Sebastian Schemmel. He was just ridiculous. It was just ridiculous, Sebastian. I loved him.
He's brilliant. Him and Ian Pearce. I mean, this was like for my own when I did my Hammers 11. A lot of them came from this period. So people like Ian Pearce and obviously Tricky Trev and Joe and Repka and he was my 11, but Schemmel, Lomax, some great players. And like in terms of, there's like one game which I remember more than any over this period was a quarter final. No, it was a quarter final. No, it wasn't. 4th round FA Cup. We beat Nottingham Forest 3-2. And I think Cole scored 2. I think Defoe scored as well. And it was the first game that I did the announcing. I don't usually do it very often, but it's the first time I actually did it. I think it was early January. Jeremy Nicholas was on holiday. We had a wedding or something, so I took the reins, and I was going to make this opportunity last. So I thought if Joe Cole, I'd written out. I was at uni at the time, so I'd written out in my lessons, in my lectures, little phrases to say if someone had scored a goal. So rather than goal for West Ham, number 26, Joe Cole. it's pretty boring. So I wrote these things out, and one was, and then for Joe, it's like he always believes in his soul. Goal scorer, but number 26, Joe Cole, which I thought was really cool. Like, get a little cheer, and not think he'd score, but he did score, and I got a bit excited. So I went, and I forgot to take a breath. So I said, number 26, he always believes in his soul. It's Joe, and my breath went, and I went, Joe, oh. And so, and I thought, oh, it's all right, no one's heard it. And then I got texts, Joe. It was on I didn't realize it was on BBC as well. So I absolutely rinsed by friends and family. So yeah, and that was cool. And that game was cool. And then it was just that whole game was so random because like the score. I remember the scoreboard. They took a picture of the scoreboard, and I was underneath. And for some reason, I did like a little jig because I could see myself on telly. And then Soccer AM picked it up as a third eye. So then I was on third eye. And then I phoned up Soccer AM to ask for a DVD because obviously no one had Sky Plus or anything like that. Someone told me I was on it. So, and then Soccer AM phoned me up and said, "Oh, do you want to come down to the studio next week and like be a guest?" And then I was on a guest. So it was like the whole game, that one game just blew up everything. It was really, really weird. And, I got to meet, that was proper like Soccer AM with like Tim Lovejoy and Helen Chamberlain.
That's the 3 hour shows, wasn't it? I miss it when it was 3 hours. Your whole Saturday morning was just Soccer AM, just done.
Yeah. So that's why I loved it, because it was just so much fun. So much fun. The whole period. Nice. And just the football was great, and the personalities were great. And you had the Defoes, you had, and also people like Joe was like more established in the team now. And you had guys like, Scott Minto. Scott was a great player for us, and he's a lovely guy as well. So really exciting time for me. That was, loved it. Loved that period of my life.
Jazz, what about you? Is there any players as well? What you think?
Yeah, I used to like Canute. Yeah, I thought he was class. Obviously went down. He had to move to our rival, shall we say? And I think I've got this shirt. A very interesting collar, this shirt, isn't it? Design.
Yeah, the overlapping collar.
Yeah. But certainly with Harry, one thing about Harry you always loved was there's no shortage of people coming, sort of joining the club and leaving. There's always something going on,
It was a soap opera, wasn't it? It was a soap opera.
Yeah. And then we found out a few years later, Russ, that he perhaps sometimes got a bonus when he sold a player.
Perhaps he did, perhaps he didn't. But again, there's like the whole. It was like there was this band of brothers, and they were like, you had the elder statesmen, you had, we've obviously been fortunate enough to interview a lot of them, but you had these guys like, like Neil Ruddock around that time, and I think just out, but like these guys, you had like Di Canio, you had like Steve Lomas, you had Repka, you had, Ian Pearce, who I adored. Ian Pearce.
I love Ian Pearce as well.
I love it was always good on Championship Manager because he was like centre back and a centre forward, like Chris Sutton. They were always really good. And obviously Tricky Trev, who's like my, he was like, I adored him, not just for West Ham, but when I think about Trev, he sort of reminds me of my granddad, because he loved Tricky Trev, and so all that type of stuff. Just a really, really special time in my sort of West Hamness, if that makes sense.
Russ, do you know when the West Stand opened, a new one? Do you remember? I don't think it was that many years away.
It would have been the West Stand. It would have been the 2001-02 season.
Yeah.
Because that's when
I think it opened in like the October, didn't it? Because I remember you had. I remember like the Newcastle game. I think it was a Liverpool game. It opened from the top of my head, because they wanted to make a big deal out of it.
Quite possibly. I don't remember the exact date, but I remember it's really like vividly, because I remember getting a call randomly at home, and I was at uni, but I was at home for some reason, and Jeremy phoned me up and he said, because basically the whole story of me joining, starting at West Ham, was basically I emailed Jeremy when I was at uni thinking I need some advice. I was thinking about becoming a sports journalist, and basically I said to him, could you give me some advice? And at the time he was working at TalkSport. He said, I can't be my runner at TalkSport on a Sunday. And I thought, that's great, because I'm usually down here for the football anyway. I can stay to the Sunday, then drive back. I was only at Loughborough, which is like an hour and a half up the road. He then got sacked from TalkSport, as they do every so often. They sort of get rid of all the presenters. And he said, he should phone me up to say he's been sacked, but he's moved his box. So obviously Jeremy used to be pitch side. Do you remember that old like porter cabin, Jazzwell, on the stilts? Well, then they got moved up to the third tier, basically on the join between the Rio stand and the Bobby Moore. He's like, I can't get up and down. Do you want to come and give me a hand? And that was it.
Right. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for Jeremy as well. He's got some stories as well,
nice
isn't
guy. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
So, Russ, we'll move on to the number 2, and I had to get this picture up because obviously, I'm guessing I know the reason why you picked this kit, but I'll let you carry on this one.
No, do you know what? And it's a bit, again, this is not for me. It was, and I was thinking about it the other day. I thought, well, this kit what means a lot to me because it proves it gives the inherentness West Hamness of some people. So for me, obviously, I supported them 92, 93, so we got promoted that season. I was such a glory hunter, so we've got promoted from the old division into the Premier League, and I hadn't seen us relegated since then. So we got relegated in 0203, didn't we? And so for me, it was like, okay, this is a bit weird because sometimes we've been teetering, but we'd actually been relegated. And obviously the Championship era was a really exciting time because where we were always the proverbial whipping boys, not whipping boys, but the plucky team in the Premier League who might one day turn over Chelsea one game, or not Chelsea at the time, but maybe Man United, or stop them winning something, or Arsenal. We were in the Championship. We were one of the big boys. We were one of the Man Uniteds in the Championship. So there's a lot more different clubs coming around. We were winning more games and losing, and the whole thing around the playoffs is something we'd never been involved in. So obviously we'd lost the first one, obviously at Crystal Palace, losing to them. And then this season, we were just so much more professional throughout this. I know we sort of creeped into the 6th spot, but we just, and again, talking to the guys, like talking to Zamora and people like that, they were saying the difference between that season to the season before was they took it too seriously. Do you remember they had like the video diaries? They had like a vlog.
That was hilarious.
Nobles, yeah. They did all that crap, and they had
some more, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they had like suits done and shit like that. They just took it too seriously. When here they treated it like another game, and we got back into the Premier League. And obviously, with Zamora scoring, and obviously the West Hamness in us, with Jimmy Walker, getting injured in the last few minutes, and Bywater coming on, and he hadn't played much at all that season, and just to get back into the Premier League. And I don't know about you guys, but yeah, Wembley's nice. I like Wembley, just like it, but I loved going to those 3 years in Cardiff. I thought it was just such an atmosphere, such a great time. I know it's like mile, 2 hours drive away, but just the fact that you had a massive stadium slap bang in the middle of a massive, party town. And I loved. Do
you think as well, Russ, because it was mainly built for rugby, it seems to have that better? Because
totally.
I would love. They'll never do it because me and Jazz are actually talk. Like I would love them to try a football match at Twickenham because I think the way it's built, I think it keeps the atmosphere. It keeps the atmosphere in as well. Do you know what I mean?
But the trouble is with Twickenham is it's like if you want to go for a drink, you usually get coached in from Richmond. Whereas here at Cardiff, you had the Millennium Stadium, and then literally they just cut the city in half. This side was West Ham, this side was Preston, or this side was West Ham, this side was Liverpool. We had the same side, I think, for 3 years. I think I had the same car park space for 3 years, to be honest. And it was just walking distance, but it wasn't, I remember walking down the road, and outside there was a massive, I remember like a 2-floor Weatherspoons. And I just remember it was all glass. And I remember all I saw was like on the top floor, there was like 10 arses just stuck across but they just completely just mooned everyone. And I was like, this is brilliant. I love this. This is what football's all about. And it was just like, I loved it. And as you said, look at Noble's face and that. And, that was
that's what Joe
before he was sort of established in the Mr. West Hamness of this. So, it was a really, I think it was a great time. And there's some great players. And obviously, Pardew, bless him, went, Chocolate went to he brought the youth in, he brought the Rio Cocas in, and, he's, 21, he made him the captain. That took balls to do that. And I always liked Alan Pardew as a manager. He was the only one who gave a shit about what music we played or anything like that. We used to have a little meeting in like his little in the manager's office at the Bowden. Was a really shitty, like almost like a broom cupboard. Almost like Harry Potter would live in there. It was that small. And like Pardew goes, so what we got to play today, Russ? And I'll be like, don't know, a bit of da-da-da. And every week is, it's like a joke. It's like a running joke. Oh, bit of Rat Pack this week, Russ? No.
What's wrong with Rat Pack? What's wrong with Rat Pack?
Don't get people going. But Pardeau's great. I love Pardeau. I liked him just because he was like the sort of he wanted to know everything that was going on, which was nice. It made you feel like, you're not just sitting up there just putting your thumbs.
Yeah, for me growing up, the reason why I thought, like you said, you had Teddy, you had Chrissy Powell as well, so you had that experience to like sort of get them down onto that kind of level. But the best bit about that season as well was the partnership, the two partnerships in midfield, Aidan Mullins and Ria Coker, and Elliot Walden and Anton. That was a great spine to have, wasn't it?
And then you had the top two really as well, or top two or top three, depending on who they were playing. So you had Teddy, you had one of Zamora or Marlon Harewood. So you had you almost had all the way through. And it was just, the team was just a really solid team. And it was a team that, to be honest, shouldn't have been in the championship. That could easily have been a mid-table Premier League team. Arguably, you had guys like Sean Newton in there. You had Carl Fletcher. You had some guys who Matty Effington. You had these guys who, some great players and really honest players. And I think, for me, that was a bit of a turning point, I thought, whereas, to intensive purposes, previous seasons, maybe they sort of stuck to the older guard, where this one, it was almost like, we had to go with youth. So we had to go for Elliot Ward. We had to go with Anton. We went with Ria Coker. We had Joby McAnuff. We had Nolan. We had these guys who, weren't necessarily household names, but we got promoted with them because they just had this sort of youthful experience, and particularly got someone like Anton, West Ham through and through. And so, it was a great time. It was a really fun time to be involved with the club. Definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. So number 3 is this one. Yeah. Which did surprise me, Russ. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I'll let you explain this one as well.
I call this era the patch era. Because I think it was just, again, it's not necessarily for the football on the pitch, but it's a similar thing. I love characters in football, and I think with the 0102, 0103 kit, you had like a load of characters on the pitch. Really, 0405, you had a character in the dugout. Really, more than anything in terms of pods. Where here you had characters everywhere. So starting through it, you got obviously Kurt. We just had the Great Escape. The previous couple of seasons, but Curbs had left in September, and then Zola comes in. So you had Gianfranco Zola, who brought a really exciting brand of football, probably the most exciting football we've seen for many years. Really, it was really a lot of passing, a lot of development into the youth. Thinking Colton Cole and people like that getting on board now. I'm thinking, so you had Zola, you had the Icelandics. We had Eggy. We had this. This was the last season.
Did you meet Zola quite a bit when you was there?
So like Zola, and you had you had Zola, you had Eggy, you had Gianluca Nani as well, who I loved. I loved Gianluca Nani because he was just the most obvious on the take person you ever met. He was just like the slimiest Italian, but I loved him. We had like a Christmas party. We had a Christmas party, like a karaoke in the Bobby Moore. So like the Bobby Moore, like they made the hospitality like one big hospitality room, like along Bobby Moore. So we had like a Christmas party there. It was like karaoke, and I've got this vision. I can still see it. It's like it was me, Scott Duxbury, and like Scott Duxbury as well. Like these players, it was me, Scott Duxbury, Gianluca Nani. I think Jeremy. I think we were singing Delilah.
Oh God!
Really random. You know what I mean? It's just like. Just memories. It just really brought me back. And then obviously the whole thing with the patches. So you had XL Holidays. You had the fact that XL Holidays put a massive banner on top of the East Stand. So people flying over to Stansted, it was advertising their holiday, all that type of thing. Then they go bust. And then sort of the wheels start falling off a little bit. We then have the first patch, which was just basically where they cut up an old shirt and stuck it on top. For those few games, and then realised actually when the players started sweating, it showed up even more because it was 2 layers of fabric. So then they put the numbers on. I like the numbers. That was a good idea. And they put the numbers on. That was good. I like that. It was different. and then they squeezed SBO Bet into like it was like blue. I think they cut up the away shirts for the home thing, and they cut the home shirts up for the away thing to squeeze at SBO Bet.
Yeah.
But it was just like a funny time, man. As I said, you had people like David DiMichele and loads of these sort of players.
How underrated was he, David DiMichele? I loved him.
I mean, Colton put him in his Hammers 11. You know what I mean? So just because of the influence, and you got to think some of the players that he's played with at West Ham, he put him in just for the fact that he was. That sort of the impact he had on the team, man. So it was like you had sort of Dino was around for a bit. He was sort of getting a bit injured, weren't he? You had Rob Green, you had Herita Ilunga, you had who else we had? We had loads. I was looking at it, obviously Scotty Parker and Luis Belmorte, and we had Julian Faubert and Jack Collison, and really good. You had Savio. We forget about Savio. We had Savio. Record signing at the time, yeah, exactly. Good old Nani there. Freddie Sears, and it was just a really funny time. It just was, and the whole Patches thing was spit and sawdust, and that's what we were. We were a spit and sawdust team. We were a spit and sawdust club. We'll patch it up; it'll be all right. Don't worry about that. So it was just a funny time, and we did all right. We did all right under Zola. I think that season we finished 9th or something like that. It wasn't, but the football was good. Played some really good football.
Yeah, was that Barami? Was he this year as well?
Yeah, Barami playing there. Yeah, Barami. We had Kovac was playing there.
Parker. How can I forget Scotty?
Yeah, Scotty Parker. Yeah, he was playing, and various others. Yeah, I mean, even you had. I mean, Bowyer was still playing there.
Stanislas. I forgot about Junior as well.
Yeah, Josh Payne had a couple of games as well, and Zavon had a game or so, and Craig Bellamy. Yeah, some good play. I mean, it was a really exciting time, and the football was all right. They played some good football. I liked it. I liked that time.
Yeah, cool. Let's have a look here. Let's have a look at some comments and see. Mike Hatcher saying Zola was in training was still the best player.
That's what they say. That's what they said. That's what they said.
Always thought this shirt was the season after. Was it?
Was an afterthought. That was an afterthought.
Oh, sorry. It
was an afterthought. It clearly was, but I thought that was the best. I thought that was the best makeup of that afterthought.
Was a Spurs member.
And
Barami could never
stop.
Right, number 4, Russ. Is this one?
Yep. Championship.
Championship. Got some characters in there, haven't we?
Look, I mean, it's a great one. That is great team, great. And again, it was up until now. I think this was the last team that had a clue what they were doing. In all like that game plan. In that, you look since Sam took over, since Sam left, you look at some of the managers we had in, Slav, bless him, Pellegrini. These guys have come in, and it was almost like there was no sort of game plan. There was no, he had a job to do. Big Sam had a job to do. Get us promoted first time of asking, and he did it. And he did it, and arguably he did it in the best way.
I agree. I agree. If you're not going to win it, you don't want to finish second. You want to go up by the playoffs.
I mean, I was at night. I mean, Jazz was being so. I was at 92, 93. Clive Allen scoring the second goal against Cambridge. We got promoted in second. Pompey didn't go up. We did. We went up automatically. It was amazing. But doing it at your own gaff. But here, doing it at Wembley, obviously, I'd never seen West Ham win at Wembley. I'd never seen West Ham play at Wembley. I was born in '81, so I wasn't even a dot in my dad's eye when we won the FA Cup in 1980. So it was just the whole experience. But it meant, again, for me, it's not necessarily about the match, but it's about the memories. And obviously, this date was Flo's due date. So. So I was, So Flo was about to be born. My firstborn, my only born, was better to be delivered on that day. So and basically, I was offered to be Herbie the Hammer. No, Bubbles the Bear. Do I want to be Bubbles the Bear on that day and walk around and see people and
on that hot day?
On that hot day, yeah, exactly. So thankfully, I was asked on the Thursday, and the game was on Saturday, whatever, and I couldn't get a CRB done properly, a full one done in time. So I was then volunteered to be the chaperone, because obviously, they can only see that much; they can't see anything. Mascots, so you have to walk them around and make sure they don't bump into someone's beer, more importantly, or knock over a little kid. that type of thing. So we had to do that, and I had a cracking seat as well. So it was literally like bang centre, front row, on the half that Vastay scored the second goal, the decisive goal. So like really good seat, and so it was like walking around Wembley, seeing people I know, and all this amazing thing, but still in the back of the mind that my daughter could be born any second now. So it was like really weird, like conflicting like things. And then literally bang on 3 o'clock, I get a phone call, and I was like, oh, here he goes. It was like an unknown number, and it turned out to be a PPI call. Literally, the timing was like you couldn't. It was almost like something like not going out, like Lee Mack would have done. Like the timing was perfect. And obviously we won. Obviously then Mark Noble, it was his stag do the next day, so they flew off to Vegas after almost immediately after, and just we got promoted. And then I remember leaving Wembley. Like Flo was all right; she hadn't been delivered yet or anything. She hadn't gone into labour, which was great. And then literally in front of me, I saw my brother. And literally, I don't know how it happens. There's 60,000 people at London Stadium. I always bump into Stell, and it makes no sense at all. You think percentage-wise, it's like one person out of 60,000. It's 0.001, and it was just a lovely moment with my brother and his mate. And then Flo was delivered a few days later, and then I knew that they were showing the trophy at the Romford West Ham shop. So I got there early with Eddie on the door, and I've got a picture of Flo. She must be only about 2 days old in the trophy, like all huddled up. So it was like, it's just everything about that season, man. It's just a really it was a really cool season, man. It was just everything was wicked.
It's very hard to get tickets, Ross, for that. I've tried so hard because I never used to go regularly. I just couldn't do it. It was completely packed our end.
It was.
I think some of our fans were perhaps on the other side as well, because they had loads of gaps at their end.
It was and it's just like and again, it was contrasting colours. It's like I remember, obviously the when we lost to Palace at the Millennium Stadium, and obviously they were all in yellow, and so when we turned up and they were all in orange, I had a little bit of like flashback, like West Ham clips with the dog, like flashback. I had a little bit of flashback there, but it was great, and it was just. It's a great way to go up, isn't it? When it's like one game where winner takes all, obviously,
I think we all had a feeling that Ince was going to do something, didn't we? I think, back of our minds. Yeah,
but we've been fortunate enough to get a lot of those boys on, and like someone like Colton, he basically said we knew we were going to win. We turned over Blackpool 4-0 or 5. Or Kent would know if he was here. Kent would tell us the scores. But we turned over Blackpool twice that season, and he knew we were going to win. So it wasn't a case of if, but he knew we were. So just the sort of the level of confidence that Big Sam brought into them, and he was a divisive manager, but when he's playing when he's on your side, and the other player and the way fans are booing him, then their mind's not on the game. So, I like a bit of a bastard manager. I like a bastard player as well.
Yeah, very well organised, disciplined. Yeah, a lot of time.
Had a job to do, didn't he? Brought in the right players. You got the late great Papa Bouba Diop there. You've got Abdoulaye Faye. You brought some big boys in there to shore up that defence, and wasn't afraid to throw. People like Nicky Maynard and Sam Baldock and Henry Lansbury. That was he
went in goal at Blackpool. He went in goal in Blackpool.
Exactly, a genius move. He was our reserve goalkeeper. It means we got one extra, attacking option on the bench.
Fantastic. Ross, have you had Paul or Clive Allen on your show?
We haven't had Clive Allen. No, not yet. Because he's really associated with Tottenham, isn't he?
Okay,
at the moment.
Fine.
I don't know if he's still on the coaching staff. He was on the coaching staff before.
Yeah.
But here we've had George on. We've had Colton. We've had Jack on. And hopefully we'll get a few more of them very soon. It's great fun. No, it was just a great bunch of lads, wasn't it? And it was like things like George McCartney coming back, and he came back and he got us promoted, and I love it.
Linda,
lovely man, lovely sweet man. And obviously that was when Winston Reid became the player that we knew he could have been. When he was when he got relegated, he wasn't particularly good when he first signed for us, and that season the Championship really sort of propelled him for the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool to wanting to purchase him. So fair play, man. Fair play.
You know, you had his coaching staff as well. So you got Wally there as well.
Wally, you got McDonald as well. You got some. You had the you can just see him between just above. You got Gary O'Neill and you got Danny Potts, and there's the Japanese guy. I can't remember his name, but he was an absolute nutter. You can just see eyes. He was a fitness coach. I think he's fitness coach at Arsenal or something. He's a physio at Arsenal now. Crazy man, crazy.
And that's the kit man, isn't it? Is that the kit man?
No,
the one there, but
no, he weren't
the one. No, the one above Ricardo.
Above Ricardo.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and actually somewhere is Mickey Bubbles is somewhere because he was doing the bubbles and somehow he got on the pitch. He just walked up because everyone was walking around and they all had he had like an official thing. And I swear there's a picture of him just with the team somehow. I don't know how he managed. Mickey Bubbles managed it, but yeah. And Jack Collison as well. He's
I love Jack. Yeah, and obviously Kev there as well. Obviously he's I've never really met the guy, but all I've just heard is great things about Kevin. I think he's the main reason him on that coaching staff. He's like the go-between. He still acts like the captain, doesn't he, with Moyes and
That's
Thingy.
what he seems like. Yeah, that's what he seems like. He does that sort of role in between the two of them, like Big Sam did. Big Sam brought him in, I mean, to be honest, someone like Kevin Nolan, I think he'd had his best season at Newcastle the season before. And he basically, Sam phoned him up and said, I want you to drop down a division and come and get us promoted.
Yeah.
All right then. Just shows you the level of respect they had for the man that he could just do that because most people would tell him to F off, to be honest, or talk to us when you get promoted. You know what I mean? But it was a good mix for that team. Good mix, experience and youngsters as well, and sort of seasoned championship players like Nicky Maynard, for example, and Sammy Baldock.
Yeah, no, definitely. So we'll move on, Russ, to your last one, which is just this one.
This one,
the last season's kit.
Last season's kit.
Yeah, obviously you were very, very, very fortunate to be at the games last year, and you get to see that moment. But how different is it now being back this year with the atmospheres have obviously been
chalk and cheese, mate. Isn't it? I think it's the same as everyone. I mean, the atmosphere before everything happened and the atmosphere now is chalk and cheese. And that's basically one of the reasons. This is purely self-indulgent, this one.
Yeah.
It is, but it isn't because if you take your mind back to the 2019-2020 season and sort of that summer, it wasn't a nice place to be at. It wasn't, we just before the season kicked off, we had sold Grady Diangana. And all the hoo-ha about that didn't really work well for Grady, did he? To be honest, just no disrespect to him, but I think we got a good deal there for 20 odd million quid. Yeah. Don't know what you'd get from if you sold him now. And Mark came out and said, "Oh, we didn't want him to be sold," and all this type of thing. And a lot of people were touting us as favourites to go, one of the favourites to go down. And then we had the season we had, and we ended up qualifying for the Europa League, and for me, it was a really humbling season because, you realise, humbling for me because I was in a position where anyone could have been, anyone would have traded their life, but they would have traded whatever they had to be doing what I was doing that day. So it was sitting there, I literally drove up to the gate. I literally parked outside the stadium, walked in, it was literally so easy. It was so easy.
Yeah.
Then all you fuckers turn up again and I have to get the train and everything. But for me, it was just an amazing, humbling experience. So, one of, seeing some of those games and being one of only 200 people watching it, live, so to speak, at the stadium, and just the feeling, because obviously, you get to see it. Like, for example, and I've said it a few times on various things, the first time ever I've seen this team every game, about an hour and a half before kickoff, would do walk a lap of the pitch, like all of them, like they're in their tracksuits with their face masks and their head and all that type of stuff, and they'd do a lap of the pitch, and it's like they were just all jostling each other. And Kevin Nolan was involved, and Moisey, and they're all having a bit of fun, and it's like these guys are just enjoying it, and you just knew that if we started getting results, this team would go far, and it did. And it was a great season, and it sort of finished off really nicely. Where we had 10,000 in for the last game to sort of celebrate that season, so to speak. I mean, we had that 2,500 for the Man United game where we lost. But even
how weird was that?
Really strange. But don't forget that before then we used to do like under 23 games, and there, and there's probably about 200-300 people there. But they're usually where the dugout is. These were like that 2,500. They were the other side, and it was strange. But particularly, I hadn't heard any crowds for like 6 months. You know, and don't forget we'd had a long summer as well. You know, we'd gone on to July, really, wasn't it? So, you know, small turnaround, and off we went again. So it was really weird. And the fact is, we were still doing the videos and still playing, and like we had to start playing goal music because I was really against it. But then they scored, and it's like, hey, there was no crowd, so you had to play something. And then obviously because of that, then they had the famous that band picture. And hopefully we get the band back together in January. But that came because we were playing the music. So I was like, wow, it was really. I just thought it was a really cool season, and it's hopefully it's the start of a new dawn at West Ham. So that's why. I mean, I could have gone this season because the season we're having so far, but we're only 11 games into this season. So we'll see.
If you had to pick, obviously you being there and what probably meant it. What highlight was it for you last season? The game. What sport?
Good thinking. Good thinking. What games? Probably. I'm trying to think now. I mean, I remember that. I mean, the one that was the season before, particularly when Yarmolenko scored the winner against Chelsea. That was amazing. That was the previous season because it was like I was watching because I remember Mark was in the squad, so he was watching it sitting in the disabled area, and to see him celebrate, it was almost like he's a fan, and I know we know he's a fan, but actually seeing it for real life, you're like, wow, that's pretty cool. I'm just trying to think. I'm having a quick look now to see what memories have been stirred up. Think.
Spurs 2-1 win.
Yeah, always beating Spurs is great. I mean, the Southampton game was great just for the 10,000 fans and the fact that we qualified as well. And even like the 1-1, the Man City 1-1. That wasn't a bad game. That was quite a cool game, just for the fact of, we should have easily beaten them. And I mean, to be honest, most of the games were sort of memorable. Obviously, there's a few games that season where I'm thinking the Arsenal game the Arsenal game where we were winning and then we drew through it. That was quite an interesting game, bit of a fun game. But I just like the games. I think when we turned over Wolves was pretty cool, like 4-0. That was a really good game. We turned over them and Leicester.
Double over them. Villa, double.
Yeah, I mean,
Leeds,
it was a good season. It was a good season. It was like
So obviously the results have been great. Apart from obviously Brett, but the team just in the stadium, Russ. Obviously you're there. Is that just a big buzz, like what you can see, like even before kickoff, like everyone's excited? It's not like the doom and gloom of when we were fighting relegation. Everyone just goes there to a buzz.
And to be honest, I don't think it would have been. I think, people were clucking to get back to the stadium when, like at the end of last season, and obviously a lucky 10,000 did. And as soon as, the Leicester game this season, and, obviously the Europa League stuff, which is just another level, I think. And, I mean, for me, the Liverpool game was a really great game. It was the first game that, because obviously I'm in essence like a soundproof box, so I can't really hear much. But I could, like, my floor was rumbling. It's like a big steel box. So my floor was literally rumbling for that Liverpool game. And you saw people and I think it was like, I think it was chanting West Ham a massive, but you saw the whole crowd, the Billy Bond stand and everyone just like all the movement, like all the clapping. And I was like, wow, this is something special. And you just feel there's something special happening. We need to win something, I think, just to cement this squad in sort of folklore history, the same way that we hold the boys of the European Cup winners and the in terms of the boys of the 80 and 80, 85, 86. I think this team should be winning something to put them in the same echelon. So maybe 40 years time we go and see an evening with Mark Noble and Declan Rice talking about turning over Liverpool and at London Stadium.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And we found something out, as we mentioned off air. Me and Jazz went on the tour yesterday. Is the specific the soundproof what they've put in the stadium? So there was about 30 of us, and they made a shout, "Come on, you Irons!" And you heard the echo go all the way around the ground. What they've done in there as well. And like when you sort of see stuff like that, and that's when you're in the moment, you don't realise, and that's probably why you hear the echo, like it's loud as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely, and I think there's, and I know there's a lot of people who are like, some people were still against the move, and fair play, everyone has their opinions. But for me, I think people forget sometimes that, Upton Park wasn't always a lovely place to go to.
No.
Everywhere's a great place. We could have filled Hackney Marshes. If we're winning, then it would be a great place to go and watch football. It doesn't, as long as the team are performing well, it doesn't matter where they play, whether it's Upton Park, whether it's a Memorial Ground, whether it was, London Stadium, Hackney Marshes, wherever, the local goals 6 aside, it doesn't really matter. As long as the team are performing to a standard we're happy with, in terms of having a go. Don't need to win, really, as long as they have a go. I think that was the frustrating thing about Saturday, was it didn't seem like they were having a go. So
I was there on Saturday. But the one thing I will say is, we was talking about on the way home in the car, is Wolves have done it very well. They've changed the structure of where the away fans sit. So I don't know whether you saw, but we had all of the lower tier.
Yeah.
Of where the players come out. So you're not all scrunched together. So if I'm singing it at one end, the other people at the other end are not going to get it. And do you know what I mean? It's not like an away game when you're all. So the atmosphere wasn't that great from a West Ham perspective, but it's not just because we weren't playing well, because the first 15-20 minutes were, but it was just one of them off days. But no, the place is just bouncing at the minute.
It's bouncing, and I think and it's things like, when we see the European, I mean, I think a lot of people, afterwards, after the Liverpool game, I think we went back to the sports club and did our little bits that we always do on West Ham Network. And someone said, this is why we moved. This game was why we moved. I don't think you'd have had that atmosphere and that game at Upton Park, I think.
No.
Just the 60,000 people buzzing and things like the European nights. We've been very, obviously, even like I know some people like it, some people love it. I love it, like all the light shows and the fire and all.
Are they doing that for every night game now? Because it seems like they've done it for a couple of the. I can't remember what game it was. They've done it not just for Europa League. All the fight. I think it was the Leicester game and Liverpool.
Yeah, it's the Leicester game, but the Leicester game you couldn't really see it very well because it was still in August, so it was still like bright, But we did do it for the Leicester game, but you couldn't really tell it. But yeah, the plan is to do it for every night game and make it a thing.
Yeah, no,
but there's we have a little twist for the Europa League ones because just for UEFA directives and stuff like that, I think. But yeah, the idea, I think it's great, and I think it's great because if it encourages people to come and watch football, if it encourages the kids to come and watch, I mean, these guys are going to be paying the wages for the next 50, 60 years if you get them in quite young. The older guys, they'll be dying off as well. So we need a new generation of fans to come through. So I love it, and it's the way, unfortunately, it's the way football goes for some people. It's an entertainment. We go to be entertained, don't we? We don't necessarily gone for the results. We backed the wrong horse if that's the case, but apart from this year. But yeah, no, I love it, man. I think it's all good what we could do, and also the transport. I always think the transport. When Upton Park Station, when that district line was down, that long lonely walk back to Barking.
I used to do that walk. That's a long walk, but 2.5 miles. Maybe even a little bit, but yeah. But Russ, obviously, everyone probably knows where you're from the West Ham. But have you got anything, not exclusive? Obviously, I don't want you to drop anything, but obviously stuff have you got anything planned? What everyone can look forward to over the next couple of weeks, maybe?
Well, we always have ex-players coming on as and when. So last week we had Craig Forrest last week. One of my favourite interviews of all time. That was. I loved Craig, and we had Matty Jarvis on Friday on the Friday preview show talking about the Wolves game. It's now we're all back, aren't we? Now, so it's previews and watch-alongs and stuff. So obviously, it's all eyes to Vienna now. So we've got that. We've got a few ex-players. We try and get one every week if we can. There may be one tomorrow, but he ain't got back to me yet. So yeah, probably
no, of course, no. Like you said, mate, like me and Jazz keep saying it. I think we can't. What was it, Jazz? 16 West Ham YouTube channels there are.
Yeah.
Now it's mad, but we're all unique and we're all one big family, and that's the main thing. And we appreciate your time for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
No worries at all. Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no worries. And yeah, thanks for everyone. We've had Russ down. That's our 4th person of the Reunited 5's. We've got a couple lined up this week, and we've got a few coming up in the coming weeks. If you want to be in Russ's hot seat and describe your memories of your favourite kits, drop us a DM and we will get you booked in. It's an open forum here. Jazz, do you want to add anything before we go, mate?
No, not really. Just want to thank you sort of Russ for coming on. I know how busy he is with the channels, and obviously we've all got daytime jobs as well, and every so often there's birthdays coming up in the family, and the wife's looking at me in a funny way, like, have you finished now? Do you I was meant to go this evening for a dinner, so I'll probably try to push that to tomorrow if I can. So so thank you for that, and hopefully if we don't speak again, you have a lovely sort of Christmas is coming soon, isn't it? So
crazy, isn't
it? I've got 2
birthdays,
birthdays, Ross. 2 of the kids' birthdays in December, including December the 27th, mate.
Jeez. It's my anniversary. It's my wedding anniversary on the 28th of December. So there we go. Great. Thank you, sir. Pleasure. Absolute pleasure, gents.
Once again, thanks everyone in the chat. It really does mean a lot. If you are new around here, don't forget clicking the like button and the subscribe. Me and Jazz are now on 520 subscribers or whatever it is, so we're slowly on the up and things are looking bright, and hopefully we get the result we need on Thursday. But one thing left to say is, come on you irons. Take care everyone. See you later.